There we go. Well, the CARES Act was signed March 27th. It seems like a year ago, right? It was certainly a necessary piece of legislation for the airline industry, but not even close to sufficient. And as the program started to be developed and implemented by Treasury, a lot of them became the programs became less attractive to a lot of airlines and those also covered by these programs. The grant program, the payroll support program, that money can only be used for payroll expenses. The airline can't furlough or lay off any employees or even reduce their pay through September 30th. And then Secretary Mnuchin said, well, okay, yeah, it's a grant program, but as for 30%, the major airlines, I'm going to convert it to a loan, and we'll take an interest. As for the loan and loan guarantee program, I think most of you that looked at this initially said, oh, okay, we are okay with executive compensation limits. We're okay with no stock buybacks. We're okay with no dividends. And that's true. For the life of the guarantee plus 1 year, you can't do those things. But also, you're not able to reduce your workforce more than 10% below what you had on March 24th. A lot of furloughs took place before March 24th, and that requirement exists through September 30th. And of course, the Secretary can't give a loan or loan guarantee without taking a warrant or equity interest, and it doesn't make a difference whether the airline is publicly traded or not. So it looks like the industry would need additional relief in the next congressional package called COVID-4. We don't know when that's going to come. There was some thought that there was so much momentum that we would have something by Memorial Day. That's not the case. The HEROES Act, introduced by the House Democrats, is a wish list, and the Republicans don't want to go there. So it may be June before there's more relief, and maybe airlines will not be singled out and focused, but it will be broader relief for industry, but remains to be seen. So next slide. Trump administration is trying to do things, and now I'm not talking about the White House. I'm talking about DOT, FAA, and Department of Homeland Security. They can operate at the margins. I do believe they'll be critical to recovery of the airline industry. The situation is largely out of their control. And you have an interesting play where DOT, which has been deregulatory for 30 years, is called upon to regulate. FAA, which is an aviation safety agency, is called upon to regulate health of employees and passengers. And TSA, which is a security agency, is now involved in public health. But that is the nature of this crisis. The minimum service obligations, which were imposed by the CARES Act, really put a straitjacket on some airlines, and DOT has had to walk it back a bit and grant a lot of exemptions. The Essential Air Service Program, which goes back to deregulation 1978, is still there. And the minimum service obligations is kind of like a Essential Air Service Program on steroids. That still needs to be tweaked and adjusted. I'm not sure Congress has an appetite to relax what they put in law, and DOT therefore doesn't have total discretion to just say, look, it's not profitable, you don't have to carry that service. As for social distancing, there are a lot of calls that DOT should step in and say, look, airlines, you're going to not fill every other row, or you're going to leave the middle seat empty. I don't think the DOT is going to take that step. Airlines are taking steps on their own. Again, Congress could regulate this area or direct DOT to regulate this area. Unlikely right now. I think it's going to be air carriers will accomplish that pursuant to CDC and other guidelines. As for the FAA, initially the administrator said, well, we do safety, we don't do health. Well, that question was answered in the 1980s when the Reagan administration didn't want to put any medical equipment on aircraft, saying that has nothing to do with the operation of the aircraft. And the Court of Appeal said, no, look, your safety and safety of passengers can be health and safety, and so FAA do it. So I think the FAA will eventually step up to the plate and, working perhaps with OSHA, get involved with what protocols airlines need to adopt to at least reduce the risk of infection on the aircraft. The passenger briefing has not been changed, I guess, for 20 years. Although when deep vein thrombosis hit, especially on long flights, a lot of airlines turned to adding that type of briefing. Now you'll have briefing on social distancing and other protocols. The FAA has already taken action to relax training and currency requirements, continue probably for the next year or so. That's not really saying that, well, we're going to reduce safety, but there are things that can't be done in person that can be done remotely. And the FAA, I think, will be has already shown a willingness to do that. And finally, the TSA. There are many calls that things should happen at the checkpoint, like temperature checks. The TSA has the personnel to do that. Do they have the training? And will it be effective? I think that is still a developing issue, and I don't know when we'll get closure on that. It certainly, TSA has the people to do that at scale if that's required.